Hello, my strange and charmed ones. Welcome back to my channel for another video. Today, I have another Charmed Biz chat for you all on the subject of becoming planner famous on YouTube. So for those of you who are not familiar with this series, my Charmed Biz chat is a monthly live chat where I cover business topics and frequently ask questions that are submitted from my community. And I am sometimes joined with an expert who I am friends with and look up to. And today I am joined by MissVickyBee herself, Vicky. For those of you who are, oh, I just started hearing myself. Oh, gotta pause my audio over here. Sorry about that, you guys. So if you are new around here, I just want to say a quick hello and thank you for clicking on this video and checking out my YouTube channel. My name is Alexis and I'm known around the web by my handle MissTrenchcoat. I'm a blogger, online business coach, and productivity guru. Here on YouTube and over on my blog and shop, strangecharmed.com, I create and share digital products to help you work smarter, not harder. If that sounds like fun to you, I'd love for you to click on that red subscribe button below this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I know you won't regret it. So thank you guys again for joining us. And now, Miss Vicky, I would love for you to introduce yourself to my audience for those of you who do not have the pleasure of your acquaintance yet.
Sounds great. Thanks for that wonderful intro, Alexis. So like Alexis said, she and I are friends and we love to discuss, you know, anything and everything. And like she said, my name is Vicky. I am on the YouTube channel, MissVickyBee, and I do planner. I like to consider it a lifestyle channel. I do planners, but a lot of heavy, like stationery, journaling, pens, anything and everything kind of creative. I love talking about on my channel. So thanks for having me here with you today, Alexis.
Sorry about that. I muted myself because I was trying to say hello to people in the chat. So you guys feel free to use this chat function on the side of the video. While this is live, we do have an open chat. If you're watching this as a replay, you'll be able to leave comments and such below. And of course, if you are interested in this topic, you're excited about this topic, how to become planner famous, please make sure to hit that like button on this video and feel free to share this in your social media because it really does help. And make sure you check out the description box of this video because number one, I have another free study guide for you all. If you guys would like to subscribe for free to my Strange and Charmed digital resource library, I do have a really great study guide up there. If you guys, you know, just like a cheat sheet to help you guys follow along and next action items that you might want to use as this is finished and apply what you learn in today's video to your own business and your own situation. So I like to have those for you guys. And also, I do have MissVickyBee's channel down below if you guys want to check that out and make sure you subscribe to her as well because she has amazing content. So today, we're talking about how to become planner famous on YouTube. And I want to give you guys a little bit of background, just a short introduction to this topic and why I chose it and why I've got Miss Vicky here today to talk about this with you guys. Essentially, I've been hearing this term flop around the internet for a while, planner famous. It seems that like within our planner community, we have a lot of people who become well known, obviously, from having like a well-subscribed channel or, you know, being on Instagram and being very popular or active on Twitter. So I think this is really awesome and very unique to the planner community. That, you know, you can kind of make a really significant impact on people's lives within this community, which is one of the reasons I'm so dedicated to it. So a lot of people ask me, they email me and leave me comments all the time asking me how to start a YouTube channel, specifically like a planner YouTube channel, because there is a lot of competition out there, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Of course, I think that more people making videos is always a good thing. I think that the more people are talking about a subject, the easier it is for someone who's newer to really start to build that brand and build their reputation, so long as they have some great fundamentals under their belt. So that's what I want to talk about with you guys today. And I chose Miss Vicky for this today. Vicky, today I'm going to call her Miss Vicky B, because that's like how I think of her. I'm going to try to call her by her name, Vicky. I chose Vicky for this because Vicky is someone who I've looked up to for a while now in the planner community. She's one of the first people that I subscribed to and really enjoyed their videos, and just saw how she was innovating with her channel. You know, a lot of us see planner reviews and things like that, and there's a lot of the same thing going on in the planner community, which again, not a problem. But there's also some people doing some really great work, innovating and kind of pushing the limits of what this planner community can be about. And Vicky is definitely one of those people for me. So I thank you so much, Vicky, for being here today, because I absolutely love the work you're doing. And I think that this conversation is going to be really helpful for a lot of people getting started. So let's jump right in on the content, you guys. Okay, so why start a planner channel, right? So there's always this why before you start any endeavor. Why do you do what you do? Why do you choose to make a planner YouTube channel? So the way I actually look at this is that I think that you'd have two motivations to make a planner YouTube channel. Number one is you love planners as a hobby, and you think that it would be a great way to share your passion as a hobby with the internet and connect with the planner community. And the second reason I think you would start a planner YouTube channel is because you have a business, and specifically a business that either revolves around the planner community or caters to them. For example, as you guys know, I have a shop where I do sell digital planner printables and inserts and stickers and all that fun stuff. So definitely having a YouTube channel that's planner related has really helped me to spread the word about my products and my services, and really helped me grow my business. So, you know, when it comes down to why you start this channel, whether it be for a hobby or whether it be to support a business, the first thing that I really think is super important is that you approach this coming from a mindset that you're really wanting to have fun, and really you have enjoyment, you like YouTube, right? So again, I did a video a few weeks back about, you know, should you start a blog? Because this is something I get a lot of questions about as well. And it comes down to, it doesn't matter that I do it or someone else that you look up to does it. Is it something that you enjoy, that you want to do? So that is always the first thing whenever you start with anything. But of course, whenever you starting with the commitment of creating videos on YouTube, whether you're a planner or a not planner, you know, enjoying it is always the most important step. You have to love videos and love the process and enjoy creating it, or else it's really going to show and you're not going to have any success with your channel. So also, if you're someone who's approaching this from a hobby standpoint, you know, a lot of people use YouTube to explore their creative side. And I think, Vicky, that's your motto, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Is to explore your creative side. It's on your, I know it's on your header.
Yes. Yep. It is. I just, you know, I first want to say though, thank you for such a wonderful intro into it, because Alexis, you're definitely, I never miss a video. I love watching you. I think you're extremely inspiring, you know, to all women. And so I just want to say thank you for that. I'm not going to take too much time because, you know, I love you and I love stalking you, but but you, I mean, you hit the nail on the head right there. I do, in my channel, I do things that I truly love. I'm truly passionate about them. And I think that hopefully that's how I come across on camera. And hopefully that's why people tune in. I don't do it as a business like you do. That's the only difference, is I do it more for the creative, for the hobbyist, in that aspect. And that's why, you know, I admire you, because I don't always have the business end to you know, using YouTube for that reason. And so I always turn to you for more of that, and, you know, trying to keep the professionalism as well as trying to keep the more hobbyist type of, you know, feel to it as well. You know, and I think that just to touch back on, you know, why start a YouTube channel, for me, my life completely changed, you know, when I decided to come onto YouTube. It was going to be a creative outlet. You know, some may know and some may not know that I'm a nurse, and I worked surgical intensive care nursing and I worked in the hospital since I was 18. And so, you know, for me to give up my career in nursing that I worked super hard, and I don't want to say give up, but I set it aside, I'm going to say, to be a mom. And that became one of the hardest jobs for me. And also with that, my planning changed. I went from meetings 9 to 5 and, you know, running more of a corporate world to, holy cow, I don't get dolled up in the morning. I don't get my coffee and I'm out the door, you know, in a business setting and meetings and whatever. So that completely changed for me. And when I brought out a planner to talk on my YouTube channel, I was actually reaching to other women who were moms to see what they were doing in their lives to stay on top of, you know, because my life changed. I went, you know, all of a sudden I'm at home and I've got a screaming little newborn and I barely can shower and I need to do, you know, all this other stuff. It was really reaching out to see what do people do? Because there weren't that many planner videos out there at the time. You know, I started like end of 2011 into 2012. And so there weren't quite as many. That's really kind of, I think, what perpetuated me to fall into that like whole planner thing, was to see what other people were doing.
And you bring up a really good point. You actually touched on 2 really good points. Is number 1 is, you know, that element of reaching out to a community and really building friendships and becoming friends with people. You know, this is how Vicky and I met, and there's such a substantial community in the planner community online, that it's so, I really think that the planner community is so unique. I really haven't seen that even from other large communities on, not just on YouTube, but on the internet, like the beauty and the fashion community. There doesn't seem to be as much camaraderie. Not to say that people aren't very friendly and develop relationships within the beauty community, but I feel like stuff in the planner community is really, like, it really kicks it up a notch. So that is another reason why you would want to start, even as a hobbyist. And, you know, another thing that Vicky said that just really hits home and resonates with me is, you know, Vicky was saying that she started with the planning because she was like, her situation had changed. She had her life in control as like the working woman, and then she became the mom. And this is one of the reasons why I look up to Vicky as well, is because I tend to find people within the planner community that have more going on than me, because I realize that one day I will be in Vicky's shoes, and I look up to people like her. And another person Vicky and I are both, we'll just put a plug in here for Carrie Harling, who is another wonderful planner lady who has a lot going on in her life, a very busy life with a lot of children and obligations for her own work and business. So it's like, I love to see how people who have more to juggle than me get it all done. So it really is a lot of learning that also happens within this community, which is wonderful. And like Vicky pointed out, you know, right now we've got a hobbyist, and you've got someone who started out as a hobbyist who then ended up turning this into a business. Honestly, and you guys have, if you guys have not heard my story before, honestly, my business started because you asked for it. Like, the people in my community asked for me to share my inserts. That was back in, like, I got my first like File-A-Fact style planner in like February of 2014. And I started making inserts for myself, and you guys loved them and begged me to sell them. So that's how my first real business came to be, was because people within the community saw what I was doing and wanted a piece of it. So, you know, whether you are a hobbyist or someone who is supporting a business, you know, talking from someone who supports a business, like I said, I didn't start off with a business in mind, but geez Louise, YouTube gives you an amazing ability to show and tell about your products in an amazing way that even blogging doesn't do, or, you know, tweeting about your products doesn't do. You know, especially if you are a product-based business, I think that it's great to be able to see and like see people interact and like kind of get a sense of an object from a video. But as well as someone who does, you know, I do info products as well. And even then, YouTube is a wonderful way for me to share my knowledge and show people that, you know, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to the topics that I cover with my info products. And, you know, going back to even like that building friendship things, you know, that's certainly something that someone with a business can also do. And taking that one step further into the business, you know, you really can develop a lot of different people to network with within the community, which is really awesome. And I've personally seen a lot of different networking things come out of YouTube. I'll give one example just because I'm friends with these people and Vicky is as well. I know that the Reset Girl, Corey, is good friends with Shelly Darling, who's another YouTuber. And I'm assuming that that's how they got connected. And they do some wonderful work on planners as well. So this is like a situation where you, in a business side, your business can be advanced through the network of this community as well. So it's just, this is the why for like why you would get started with a channel. So Vicky, do you have anything else to, I think that was about it for me.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you touch on so many great things. You know, it's, you know, I was now going from interacting with people all the time, all day, answering my pager all list, to I am talking to a babbling infant, not even. And so having that ability to connect, you know, and find you as a friend, and Corey, the Reset Girl, and everybody else that's out there, not only are they women who are inspiring, but they're also people who are interested in the same thing that I'm interested in. A lot of them are moms. And so seeing them do all these things, like you were saying, Carrie Harling and I, we almost talk, you know, on an everyday basis. And so, you know, getting to reach out to people who are in your niche, who help you feel, you know, like you're a part of a group. You know, nobody wants to be lonely, and it's like the worst thing in the world is to kind of really feel lonely. And so having that group and having those friends and those friendships develop is huge. And it kind of fuels my fire to make videos, because, you know, the community is so great, so warm, and so welcoming to it, that I love to interact with them. That's like my favorite thing, is to interact with people. I get letters from people, you know, people send me cards, and, you know, even people remember that I have a daughter, and I've gotten people send me things for my daughter and things like that. That's where like the passion for me comes from with YouTube, is that it's that sense of community, and now I belong. You know, I said in a video before, I felt like a fish out of water a lot of times with like my passion for, you know, journals and art and all that kind of stuff, and to find this community, I feel like I'm in my pond. You know, I found my little coral reef of people, and we can all kind of hang out, and it's great. We're all over the world.
Can we be mermaids? Can we all be mermaids?
Let's all be mermaids and hold our planners up and swim around.
A waterproof magical planner.
Yes. Yeah, just have a great time together. Absolutely. And then, of course, technology helps with that too, you know, just being able to talk like this. And it's just great. It's a wonderful, wonderful, you know, feeling to be a part of that community.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with all of that. So especially with being planner mermaids.
Yes.
So now that we've talked about like why you'd want to start this planner channel, how do you get started? Okay, so this is another question I get asked a lot. How do you start your channel? Especially, like I said, there's a lot of people out there who have planner channels. How do you get yourself known? How do you start and have an impact on day one? So the first thing that I think is really important to keep in mind when you're starting a YouTube channel, or really starting any endeavor where the market is a little saturated, is you need to have a clever concept or a niche idea, okay? So the more specific you can get with the types of content you're going to be covering, and the sorts of, you know, subjects you're going to be talking about, and the sort of items you're going to be sharing with people, the better, because the more you can make yourself stand out, the easier it'll be for you to rise up the ranks and kind of get that planner famous sort of title, right? So I always think it's really important to be unique. There is a lot of overlap in the planner community, which I think is absolutely fine, because I think that when it comes to, and I've said this before about other topics as well, you can take one video topic. Someone could say a title of a video and give it to me and Vicky and like 100 other planner people, tell us to make a video on it, and guess what? You'd get 100 different unique responses. So there's nothing wrong with doing the same thing that other people are doing, because everyone always has their different approach. But if you can find something that makes you a little bit more unique, it's easier for you to stand out. Absolutely. And the final thing I would say about that with your concept and your niche idea is you really want to have your branding, what I like to say, tight and right. You want to make sure your branding is on point. This isn't something that a lot of people think about in the beginning, but if you are starting this and wanting to make an impact on day one, it's really important, I think, to really have your branding together, which means your messaging, you know, what you're going to be, you know, the kind of graphics and the style that you're going to be filming in and things like that. And, you know, I've talked about branding before in previous videos, and I have a branding workbook in my shop. If you're interested in it, there's a link to the empire building program down below. If you just want to know about branding, you can buy a workbook on it. But getting branding right on day one, I think, will make it easier for you to make an impact and stand out from amongst the group of, a lot of times people just, especially hobby people will start a planner channel or start any sort of channel, and not a lot of thought will go into it. So if you can put a little bit of thought beforehand, you're definitely going to be making an impact. So, now I want to talk and invite Vicky to, if she could share a little bit about her concept and her niche for her channel, because Vicky has a totally different channel than me. So let me know what your niche is and what your thought is for your channel.
Absolutely. It's something I do need to work on is my branding. I've watched your videos on it, and it's definitely something I need to work on is branding, because that wasn't where, my mind had gone when I first started doing YouTube. When I first started doing YouTube was in 2011, and I actually got my feet wet with doing beauty channel videos, because the market was so saturated with beauty videos that, not that I didn't want to stand out, I did want to stand out, but I thought I could almost mimic what they're doing to get my feet wet, to learn how to do a video, to get comfortable to talk to a camera, because essentially I'm sitting and talking to myself with a camera filming me talk to myself, right? Because, when you first put a channel out there, you may have 1 view or 2 views. You don't have a lot. Where now when I talk to a camera, I do imagine an entire audience of people that is watching me, or is, responding to me and interacting with me. Whereas when I first started my videos, I kind of was talking to myself, but it was a great way for me to organically develop where I wanted to go with it. So once I was really comfortable with doing beauty channel videos, and, I had enough makeup that I could just pretend almost and play with it. And, it inspired me to buy more, and I would watch a ton of them. And that was the thing. It was just kind of doing homework, doing research. For me, that's where I was comfortable going with that. And then once I decided, you know what, I have not seen anybody talk about journals or planners. I haven't seen any videos on that. And so I thought, I've done enough videos. I've figured out how to do the editing. I've kind of figured it out. Let's see what happens. And it was like one of those videos overnight where all of a sudden I was flooded. There was tons of views. There was so much going on. And I thought, yes, this is awesome. I am talking about something I really love that I was scared to talk about, because, even to this day, people look at me really weird. Like, what? You sit in front of a camera and talk about what? People still look at me that way. I have family members that are like, what? What do you do? Like, I don't even understand, and people think it's nerdy and all of that such, and they want to term it whatever they want to term it, but I'm passionate about it. I love it. I like it. And I found a community that likes me for doing it as well. So that's kind of how I stumbled. I'm going to say I stumbled into it. It's not like I went with it in my mind. I'm going to be, develop this a reputation of being the planner person online. That never really happened for me. It only happened organically. It just kind of honestly evolved into it. But I did start to try and blend into the community just so I could get my feet wet. That's kind of really how it had started for me.
And you and I are similar in that matter too, that I had been on YouTube since like 2009, and I was doing technology videos, and then I made a planner video, and that was like, stuff just started happening because I got such a big response from that video that it was kind of like, well, maybe I should be doing these videos instead, since they're fun and people seem to like them. And it's really interesting, to think about the fact that, like, I feel like I made a lot of leaps and bounds in the community and grew very fast. And I think one of the reasons for that, and we'll actually talk a little bit in a second, I think part of that was the equipment I was using, which was a little bit different than what other people were using at the time, since I was an established YouTuber. And this was something that also I did notice from Vicky as well, was that, because she had been making YouTube videos on different subjects before, her confidence when it came to the planner videos, her quality was higher than whatever the bar had been set at. So that's really, I really do think that having that experience, and there's only one way to gain experience, right? It's by doing it. And when it comes to, the niche for my, my concept for my community, because it wasn't, I didn't start off with a planner community channel, definitely I feel like last year I did a lot of like trying to find myself and what I was going to talk about. And in developing my business and things like that, I've turned my channel into more of like a productivity section of planning. Whereas there's so many different subjects that you can talk about when it comes to planning. And I know Vicky does a lot of, say you do a lot of artistic and like creative journaling and art journaling in your niche. And then in my niche, there's a lot of productivity tips and how to use your planner and be organized and just time management and like learning those sorts of fundamentals. So, you know, there's so many different ways that you can approach your channel. Think about, you know, even if you have to spend a little bit of time digging around and putting feelers out and touching all different places to see what works for you, it's really important to kind of do that self-exploration and develop that niche that is you.
You know what, I just want to interject with just to say that I've seen a lot of people actually start off with Instagram, like their Instagram accounts, and they show really pretty images, or they're like coming up with really cute stuff. Like I think Scribble Prince Co. is actually one of the girls who like has a lot of stickers that she put out, and then she started doing the Plan With Me videos, and that was kind of maybe like a reverse way. And I'm not sure if she had videos before she had her Instagram account and her Etsy shop, you know, to do that, but that could be another great way, is because everybody loves looking at Instagram photos. And so looking at someone's Instagram photos, I always look, I'm like, do they have an Etsy shop? Do they have a YouTube channel? What's going on with these folks? I love their images. I love what they've got going on. So that could be another way to get into the niche, and to stand out, is having great photos or something that captures people's attention on Instagram, because I feel like that's a good feeler out there. And also using Periscope. I know like Periscope is a great way. There's a lot of times that I get that little ding, you know, from Periscope, and there are folks that do some YouTube videos. Like there's, I'm going to plug Jenny Penton, who does that Planner Perfect. And she's like a mom of 8, and she's pregnant with her 9th, which again, just like you, Alexis, I love watching these moms with like all these kids, just doing it, living it. Like I just am so fascinated by them. And she does a lot of Periscope stuff with how she uses the Planner Perfect method. That's another great way, you know, to kind of gain that you know, group of folk, because people like watching live stuff. They love watching it on Periscope, because on YouTube, we obviously can edit our videos. Periscope is raw. That's raw material. And I think it's raw. Right? Like human nature, we love watching people like just naturally in their environment. I love it. I mean, that's why reality TV is such a hit, because we like watching people raw in their element. So those may be some other options for folks if they want to kind of, you know, work their way into it, or just use a phone without editing material.
And that's really a great point that I didn't even think of, was that, you know, testing the waters, testing your market ahead of time. This is something that in business I would tell people to do, to test their market. And this is, you know, if you want to start your YouTube strong and you don't want to mess around with meddling with the videos until you're ready, YouTube, Pinterest was Instagram and Periscope are great ways that you can interact with your community ahead of time, really any of the visual mediums, because really these are planners. We're talking about visuals here. Right. So even having even a blog with pictures as well, testing to see what people want. And I think Periscope is a wonderful testing ground for anyone who is thinking about starting a business or starting a channel or starting any sort of endeavor. Periscope is a wonderful way to gauge interest and get feedback kind of instantly for ideas.
Yep.
So once you kind of have that testing ground and you're ready to make that leap, the next thing that I think is really important is that when it comes to making a really good impression, it's really important, I think, to focus on quality over quantity when it comes to your videos. So the way that I like to do this, I like to say that I think that it's really important to use the best equipment that you can. And this is what I was saying earlier, that when I got started with planner community videos, I immediately feel like I was like a one-up a level, because I was using an HD camcorder and I had like a real filming setup with lights and things like that already established, because I had been doing YouTube videos. So I think that it's very important to have that equipment right, because I do think that the equipment does matter. Quality does matter. I do think it's possible to use an iPhone, right? Like if really all you've got is an iPhone, I do think that that's fine, but I do think it's important to invest in a few different things, like your lighting. If you don't have a good place that's like, you know, really has good lighting, get some studio lights. Like I've got one studio light on right now, because even though I'm going through my eyesight camera and I've got, you know, a lamp above me, I want to make sure I look as well lit as possible, right? So, lighting is very important. Sound is really important. So you want to make sure the sound is fine. If that means getting a little microphone and hooking it up to your phone, something like that. And definitely like a tripod, because I think gone are the days where you were able to swing it with like a one-handed, like, let me show you my planner, and it was all shaky. Like, you want to make sure you're one-upping your game, have that little investment. So these are little things that aren't too expensive, that you can just add to your set. And if you guys are actually interested, I should have thought about this already. I can leave down in the description box later. I'll go ahead and drop my lights that I use, just so you guys, because that's like an inexpensive set of lights that, or not the ones I'm using now, but the ones I used to use, because they're very inexpensive. And if you guys want some other things, feel free to leave me a comment and I'll give some recommendations. But Vicky, let's talk about like the equipment you started with, and maybe what you're using now, because I definitely remember that there has been a transition over like the last like year or 2 years that I've been following you.
Absolutely. So I think that, like, if I were to give someone advice on this, is you really want to be invested in this before you start buying your digital DSLR, whatever cameras, all that kind of jazz. I definitely think you want to be committed into this. And I always, and I was telling this to Alexis before we went on, is that I always look for people's videos and their topics that I would be interested in. That's how I look at it, and how I want to be seen by people, is someone looks through their sub feed and they're like, ooh, that's cool. What is she talking about? And so sometimes I think that, yes, the proper equipment is awesome and you want a high quality video and it looks great. But to be honest with you, some of the videos, and I'm not saying this in a mean way or anything like that, some of these people have great setups, great. Like a lot of these beauty girls who, have been filming and they have beautiful setups and stuff. I could not care less what they're filming with their planners. They have a beautiful setup. And it's like, all right, great. You have a beautiful camera. Your planner looks awesome, but you're 1 in a million. It's already been done. Whereas some of these folks, I really like to dig in when I'm searching, and I really love to find some people who, like, for example, a lot of the Franklin Covey ladies, like, they've been using Franklin Covey since the 80s. So they have, 30 plus years of experience in using their planners, and they've seen it evolve. They've seen it go from just strictly paper. Some of these people have taken courses at their companies, and that to me is fascinating. I will take that and a lower quality camera than I do taking a high quality and a beautiful planner in front of me. And that's just me. I get kind of weird about that stuff, but I like to hear like people's just raw, again, that unedited, the realistic kind of, what they went through with, the different corporations, and I don't know, just all that kind of different stuff. So yes, I think that the lighting is very important. Yes, I think the camera is very important, especially if this is your niche. If this is where you're going, yes. So for me, I started off using just a regular like handy cam that I purchased for our honeymoon. And I just set it up on a tripod and sat in front of a big bay window. And that's how I filmed. To now I have like the DSLR camera, and then I have like a bright light, which I have it in front of me now and I should turn it on. I just have it because I look like a sweaty hot mess sometimes under that hot light. So sometimes I feel like when it's a dimmer light, I look better on camera. But, yes, it's absolutely critical to have good shots, because at this point now, people want, when I'm showing a planner, if I showed it in a like lesser quality, people will be like, what the heck? What happened here? Show me a better picture. And so like I think the expectations from people have, they're expecting something. And so, that's why. But that's because I've committed to this. I want to do it. But if you're initially starting off, I think your content is what I'm trying to say, is going to be more important than having a beautiful video, I guess. And your thumbnails, believe it or not, that's like really what captures my attention too, are these little thumbnails, whatever people can create that looks really cool. Like Alexis has amazing thumbnail. I always want to click on it because it's like the most beautiful thumbnail ever. It's like, they're amazing. And so I think, being appealing in that sense too is important.
Yeah, so absolutely. And going back to what Vicky's saying, I do believe that it's important to start with what you've got. And this is something I've said before, is especially if you're not yet invested, you're not sure if you want to do the YouTube not full time, but you don't know if you want to commit to a DSLR camera. Use the best thing you can possibly get your hands on. And there's always those little things like a tripod, like a light that you can add that's inexpensive, that just brings the quality up a little bit. So, you know, going back when I first started YouTube in like 2009, I had like one of those like little Canon digital ELPH cameras that like also did video. Terrible. And I remember the ratio back then was not like 16:9. It was like 3/4, or I don't even know what it was, but all my old videos are squarish. And I think that's funny. And then I guess at the time when I started the planner videos, I had had a few different like sort of little Canon, little just hand cameras that I'd used. And then last year I was using a like a Canon camcorder, like an HD camcorder, which was awesome. It was the first thing I had that actually did full HD as opposed to just 720 HD. And of course, autofocus and things like that. And I do still use that camera occasionally for overhead shots because of the autofocus and things like that and the auto adjustments. But yeah, now I do use a DSLR camera with a nice lens. And, you know, like Vicky said, as you develop and grow, people are going to expect better and better and better, right? So this is something that's natural. YouTube now, I think like the big thing now is like the 4K video. I have not even touched 4K video cameras are like what regular video cameras were back when there was like film. So it's, you know, this is something that a few people use. It's not yet the full standard, but you know, we do have to constantly evolve with the technology. And so definitely when you're first getting started out, it is so important that you think about your content being interesting, because you need something to keep people there and to really make you stand out. So having interesting, different content is something that can definitely help you build your following. So do not fear if you do not have a DSLR, you know, you can make do. And most of us do have either an iPhone or like a handy cam or something like that that's got a video camera on it. Definitely, I think it's important to prioritize HD because that is just the way things are going with the current technology. HD is important because a lot of people, and I do this too, I watch a lot of videos on my computer. On my television, because we've got like an Xbox that like goes, and I also have an Apple TV that goes to my other television, and I can watch YouTube videos there. So it's really important, you know, if you can do the HD, definitely at least get some HD going on there. So the last point I want to make about getting started is something that I think a lot of people don't really think about this, and this is consistency. You know, when you're first getting started, a lot of people are playing around and like they might post a lot of videos one week and then go a few weeks without posting videos. And again, to that point of when you're trying to make impact immediately, right? You're trying to put your best foot forward and trying to really grow your channel. Consistency is key. Consistency in the types of videos that you're making and like the messaging that you're putting out there and the topics you're covering, and consistency with your posting schedule. I do think that that's something that really hits home with people when they know that they can expect your video on, like for me, I put my videos up Sunday at 10 a.m. And it's like when people know that that weekly video is coming on Sunday at 10 a.m., they realize they can trust me, right? So they know that they can always come to my channel at 10 a.m. on Sunday and it's going to be there. Now, of course, that's the beauty of the internet. People can watch the videos whenever, but think about this in terms of your television show. How annoyed would you be if Walking Dead, you went to your TV at 9 p.m. and turned on AMC and something else was on? And you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You were supposed to be on here, Walking Dead. Like, I would be annoyed. And I don't know if you guys know, but like they just changed how the Talking Dead's going to come. Sorry, I'm a little bit of a Walking Dead nerd. Sorry about that. But think about your favorite television show. If it wasn't there at the time and date you expected, you know, you'd be upset, right? So I think that, you know, approaching your channel like a television series, like you are promoting a series. You're doing a series here on YouTube. So having a regular schedule, I don't think you always 100% have to stick to it, but I think that it's a best practice to try to stick to that as much as possible. Everyone knows life happens, and for most people, no one's doing this, you know, not a lot of us are doing this professionally. So it's not like our heads to the flames there, like you have to get this done. But, you know, it is something to keep in mind that developing that trust through consistency is very important. Anne's asking what happened to the Talking Dead. There's a new show that's coming on after The Walking Dead now. I think it's called Into the Badlands. And so the Talking Dead has been moved an hour later for me. But Anne, I don't know what that means for you. Like, I think it goes on at 11 for me. So whatever 3 hours before. Sorry, Anne lives on the West Coast. So, and I know you guys on the West Coast, I just found out that they watch The Walking Dead at a totally different time. I thought it was live like for the entire world at a certain time, but apparently not. So sorry about that diversion. Thumbs up this video if you like The Walking Dead. This is not sponsored. So, okay. So Vicky, anything else to add with how to get started, or should we jump into growing?
with the editorial calendar, I think it's super essential. I have always taken a lot from you in that aspect, and I love your inserts, and I love being organized with that. I've always looked to you for that. Before really kind of getting truly organized with it, like I did when I got like your inserts and things like that, I really honestly did somehow map out what I'm going to do. Like initially when you start, it's like, oh, I got an idea in the shower, I'm going to film about it, to now, you know, people expect a certain something from me, right? And then, and not only that, and I know we'll touch on this, but like, you know, companies also expect something from me. So now it's really essential that I sit down and really brainstorm things. You know, I know I seem a lot of it is improv when I go on. I don't speak, you know, based off of an outline. I really don't. There's only some things and certain things that I'll actually write down where I want to mention, like somebody I've seen or a product or something like that. Otherwise, it's very much improv. It's what comes to me naturally, but I know pretty much when I'm going to film something. And I usually do 2 videos a week. So I'll do something either Monday or Tuesday, and then I do something for the weekend, like a Friday, Saturday. And I also know that usually Monday, Tuesday videos are not going to be like the sometimes they're really long, but you know, they're like the easier video, like the unboxing video or something like that. Whereas on the weekend where people maybe have a little bit more time, I'll put up the more in-depth like planner reviews, or, you know, I'm really getting into this. And so like the deeper meaning videos, I guess, I'll try and put up on the weekends. So yeah, so a lot of thought goes into doing that kind of stuff as well. And I also kind of somewhat think about what I'm putting on Instagram. I want to make sure that I'm interacting with people enough there, because a lot of people don't even know I have a YouTube channel on Instagram. And so, you know, putting up things up there as well as like Facebook. And then, you know, keeping on top of YouTube comments and email. I'm horrible with YouTube comments. I try to keep up with them as much as I can, but it's overwhelming. Like I get flooded with stuff and emails and all that kind of stuff. So I try to come up with some sort of a schedule or organization for that. But I know I'm not the best at it. I wish I had could hire somebody to help me, and I could tell them, you know, hey, can you type this all in for me? You know, but it's hard. Like you said, life happens. You know, I can't always commit to something. If we're going on vacation though, I do pre-schedule stuff so that, you know, I'm not missing out. You know, like we went to Mexico last year, and I had 3 videos filmed ready to go, you know, in case I couldn't film when I came back. So yeah, there's definitely thought put into it, but again, I think it's something that you achieve as you grow with your channel. You know, if you're somebody that's new, I don't know that people count on you, you know, to put out videos. So you may be a little more lax with it, but it's a good idea to brainstorm your ideas for the month so you can kind of plan things out.
Absolutely. An editorial calendar, a brilliant idea. That's, you know, definitely something I use. I have my videos planned out for the month ahead. And that's funny that you were saying that your meatier videos on the weekend, like my high quality video is my Sunday video. And then my Wednesday video is more of my loosey goosey, it might be a live event like this, or something that was easier for me to film, and or even just a screencast, like me on my computer, so that I don't have to do as much. Because I mean, this is the one double-edged sword, is that when you do move into the higher quality equipment like a DSLR, geez Louise, it's filming becomes a lot more complicated. I used to film 4 videos a week or something like that when I first started with the planner community, back in, I think it was from 2013 until the end of last year. I was doing several videos a week. And then the end of last year, I moved into my two weekly videos. But having a DSLR really makes it, there's a little bit more of a process there. Having to get lighting right and setting your lenses right, and it's just a lot more work to do, but definitely worth it because the quality is important. But absolutely, having an editorial calendar is so key. So once you've got your concept and you're getting started, the next thing is that people want to grow a following, right? This is why we do this, is to grow our presence. So a lot of people come to me and really they think that growing your following is very hard. it is hard because the market, again, like I said, saturated, it's competitive, but what you do to get there is honestly, it is so simple. A lot of it really does go back to consistency. So what I say, like, to how to grow a following, step one is to create that regular content. People are not going to follow someone who sporadically posts videos, or the videos are all over the place. Like one day you do a video on your planner, one day you do a video on shoes, and the next day you talk about, you know, tires on your car. Like, it's, if you're always jumping around to crazy topics, you're not being consistent. People are not going to get a feel for what you're about, and they're not necessarily going to want to subscribe to you. So creating that regular content on a regular schedule, that sort of, you know, consistency in your messaging and the way that you are doing your videos is very important. The next way to grow a following is to engage with your community, right? So when you do get those comments, it is important to engage as much as you can. And, you know, obviously when you're first starting out, this is much easier. It's much easier when you're smaller to respond to every comment, and really give people personalized feedback and develop relationships one-on-one. And I think that this is something that is overlooked, is that people don't realize that when you're in this small stage, that is the time where you really can devote time building those people who are taking the time to leave you comments and watch your videos. That's when you should be taking opportunity to develop a real relationship with these people and really getting to know them and connecting with them in other places. Because one, that's where that community aspect is formed. And two, it's, you know, that's how you develop real fans, is people love being, you know, watching videos from people that they know and they feel like they can talk to, and they know if they leave a comment, they'll get a response. You know, that's something that is a really wonderful feeling that, you know, when you're small, you have a unique opportunity to take care of that. Also, engaging in the community outside of your own channel is very important as well. You know, you are not the only planner person out there. Feel free to snoop around and watch other people's videos and start leaving questions and comments and requesting to collab with people and things like that. Like, the more you're active in other places, the more people are, you know, this community is big, but it's also small. You know, it's, you know, people are going to start to see that this person leaves really insightful comments on a lot of people's videos. This person really is invested in this community. So I think that the best way to grow is to engage with your followers and go elsewhere to get to kind of grow these relationships, so that the people are coming back to your channel. And I do not mean leave a comment on everyone that's planner video that says, I have great video, I just started a YouTube channel, will you come check out my video? Like, that's spam, right? So that's not what I'm saying. But if you go and you watch Vicky's latest video and you say, Vicky, I love this, you know, this tutorial on your coloring books, the adult coloring books, you know, which I've seen them everywhere as well. Like, there's a whole display in my Michaels. Yep. You know, it's, you know, I really like this idea. And I saw this one that I thought you might like over at this store, like, check it out. You know, that's like, if Vicky finds value in that interaction with you, she's more likely to click on you and see if you have a channel, right? So that's like what happens is when we see the same people's names over and over again, we begin to recognize them and we become curious about them and ultimately willing to support them and go check them out as well. So I think that this is a really important best practice that, you know, you can't expect your account to grow to like 100,000 overnight. Like, it's just not going to happen. Even if you have some amazing YouTube videos, like I have videos, like I have over 3 million views on my videos. But I only have about, like, I'm about to 40,000 subscribers at the time of filming this. So it's, you know, it is a slow and steady process. Like, even just having a viral video doesn't do it for you. It's really that engagement and consistency. And the final way that I think you should grow a following is to provide value. Like Vicky was saying before, like, even if you don't have the best equipment, having an interesting topic that you're talking about, really sharing important knowledge or key facts and things that people would really want to know is such a value. And, you know, when it comes to creating value, you guys know, like, I try to create value in everything I do. I try to make sure my videos are always informative and not too long, so that I'm making sure I'm respecting your time and giving you quality information that's actionable. And then I do things like this study guide, right? So you can download this study guide and you can follow along with it, and you've got action items so that you don't have to necessarily come back to this video over and over again to remember a point. You have something to take notes on and something to remind you about what this was about. So, you know, these are the sorts of things that I do to add value. And on my thing here, I actually had some extra things on my study guide that I didn't have on my master outline. You know, I say to always take one step further to add value in your videos. That could mean a bonus content, right? So maybe you have some content on your blog that maybe goes along with the content that's, you know, like almost like additional. If you liked this topic, I wrote more about it on my blog. Or if you liked this planner, I'm showing you some up close detailed pictures on Instagram, because you know what, my camera isn't that great, but on Instagram I can get the good shots. So go over to my Instagram account and look and see those better pictures. So, you know, bonus content. You can add high quality information. You know, just don't waste people's time with a video. I feel like sometimes people think, you know, that there's just pure entertainment value in videos, and there definitely are videos like that. But when it comes to the planner community, I think a lot of us are looking for inspiration and information as well. So make sure your content is high quality. You can also add value through a freebie or a giveaway, and there's just really, the sky is the limit. So think outside the box for what you can do, because it will be appreciated and it will be noticed. So what's your strategy, Vicky? Do you have additional strategies for how you grow your channel?
I will totally be honest with you. I was just looking to see how many subscribers I have, because I have no idea. I don't look at any analytics. I'll be completely honest with you. I know I have a decent following because people email me and say, hey, you're about to hit 20,000. And I'm like, oh my God. And I told my husband that. He's like, what? He's like, when did that happen? I have no idea. I get so engrossed in just the friends that I've made, and honestly building the relationships that I have, that I've almost forgotten where I'm at in regards to numbers, to be honest with you. And but I will say though, in the beginning, you know, when my numbers started growing, I was very conscious of it compared to where I'm at now, because it was exciting. You know, people started recognizing me, and that is the exciting part of this, is that you know, people say, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. You know, I'm so excited to get when you put a video up, or I'm this, that, and the other. And so, yes, that gets exciting. And that's when I was really kind of following the numbers. And, you know, and I think that it's important to do that. But I honestly think that the way that you grow and the way that you get people is like what you said. You have content that people love. Like, you have to build a relationship with people. And that's the people that I tend to follow, right? Like, and that's like, again, like the friendships that I've built with people like Corey, the Reset Girl. I love Corey, you know, and I love her not only as a person, I love her content. I love her style. It's someone that I feel like I can relate to. Same thing with you, Alexis. Like, when I first saw you, and I told you, was her, Alexis has a Furby video that she put out. And I love that. She was like the first techie girl that
my number one video. It's the bane of my existence, y'all. This Furby video is my number one video. Over 250,000 views on this stupid video.
Yeah.
At the time, I thought I was like a genius for doing this video.
Yeah. And
now I'm like face palm, like how embarrassing.
I love that video. I immediately, after I saw that, I subscribed, and I was like, that's a girl I want to hang out with. That's someone I'm interested in seeing, because there aren't very many techie girls out there. And then I went to her blog and I saw that she was talking about different cases for computers and laptops. And she had like, you know, what I carry in my bag. And it was fascinating to me, because she was carrying in her bag what your like corporate chick would carry. And that's what I was carrying in my bag. So I think that you know, as you're on your channel, you have to do what you want to do, what you're passionate about, and really embrace those folks who embrace you as well. You know, so I try to do my best to interact with folks through email, and it's honestly so touching. And it helps me to continue to be open and honest on my channel, because people send me emails like, you know what, I have a horrible day and your video made my day. And that keeps me going. That is really like, that's the star, you know, like that's the juice that fuels me. That's what gets me going. And so I didn't really think about growing my channel just like for numbers, just to kind of have people to come. And I still don't, you know, I could still be doing it for 10 people and I'd still really honestly be happy about it, because everyone that's out there, has made me feel like me. You know, that's what this community has really helped me to do, is to feel like me. And I like to talk about stuff, you know, because it makes me happy and it makes somebody else happy. So like, I don't know that I've ever like, you know, gone off of like views on videos. Like I will watch occasionally to see, you know, what's really hitting hard here. And I noticed like in the comments here, folks are saying, well, you know, the planner videos are getting huge numbers, but then when I put something else up, it's not. I think that's okay. I think that you shouldn't focus just on the numbers. I think if you stay true to you and you think it's something you want to talk about, do it. You know, like I get that the planner videos get a ton. I get it. You know, I like putting up a setup video because I've changed my setup. I'm not putting up a setup video because I know it's going to get numbers. I do it because I know I changed my setup and I want to share it. The same with like the adult coloring books. I talked about it because I want to talk about it. I didn't do it because I thought, oh my God, 1,000,001 people want to see this. I did it because I want to talk about it. I'm coloring in a coloring book and people look at me weird for coloring in an adult coloring book. So I thought, great, it's a topic to talk about. And that's how I view it. So just to kind of answer that, where someone wrote, help, you know, I'm not getting as many views, you know, on my channels. I would say it's great to know your numbers, but don't be obsessed about it. Don't be like, oh no, I put all this work into this video and it's only got 500 views. So what? You know what? That's 500 people who loved it and who probably enjoyed it. And Alexis and I were talking about this before. Sometimes your video can actually grow over time. Just because you didn't get that 20,000 views or whatever you wanted initially doesn't mean it's not going to grow bigger. It can, you know, it just has to kind of catch up. There's so much content that's out there that you just got to let it, you know, grow, let it simmer a little bit, let it sit with people, you know, because not everything is going to just explode right away. And, you know, you shouldn't have those expectations. Even if you have 500 views, I think that's great. Even if you have 10 views, it's great. Somebody cares, somebody wanted to watch, you know, and that's kind of like the thing that I follow is, yes, somebody's still watching me out there, and that's great. And that's going to keep me fueled to keep doing more videos.
Absolutely. And that's such a good comment as well about, you know, and Vicki and I have talked about this at length as well, because when I made that transition from last year to this year, focusing more on productivity and business and things like that, I lost views. I definitely lost views on videos in the short term, but it was the direction I wanted to take, and it was what made me happy. And like, first and foremost, like we said, your why for doing this is because this is something that makes you happy. You're interested in doing this. It's something you're passionate about. So, you know, I had to like let go of my ego and be like, you know what, even though if I do a planner setup video, I know I'll get a ton of views really quickly, but you know, if I also create a really high quality, high value video, that's something I'm passionate about, where I'm teaching, as long as I'm following those like rules for myself for like my quality and my consistency, it may not get thousands and thousands of views the first day, but I always see those videos catch up. Those videos that are always well done always do catch up. So like Vicki said, sometimes things need to simmer. And there is really, when you really are doing that great content, there's nothing that's going to stop that video from growing, especially when we're talking about, you know, evergreen content, which is a lot of the content that I put out is evergreen. It's not tied to a specific date and time. Like if I did a video today about just to choose like a very unfortunate event that I know everyone has heard about, is the, you know, the attacks in Paris, right? If I did a video about the attacks in Paris, it might be popular right now because it's what people are searching for. But in a few months and years down the line, that it's not going to have any growth factor. So, you know, even if a video doesn't start off big, it doesn't mean it won't go big. And one of my big surprises for that, not just the Furby video was a big surprise, but the my number 2 video, which has like almost 250,000 views as well, is my 10 ways to personalize a planner. That I made that video and I said to myself, it was the best you could do, Alexis, but geez, I wish you could have done it better. Like I was hard on myself about that video. I was like, oh, I wasn't sure I liked it. And I put it out and it kind of like, it had like a lukewarm reception. It was a planner video, so it didn't do terrible, but now it's 250,000 views. Like, geez Louise, like people like that video. So, you know, things take time. You're not going to become a million subscriber overnight. This is why it's almost like a test that good things come to those who wait. If you really want this, you have to stay consistent. You absolutely have to stay consistent. So that is how we grow following. Okay. I know it's not what people want to hear. They want to hear that they can buy something to like get their following to be bigger. They want to hear that there's a specific tag that they can put in their description that everyone's going to watch their video. The truth is it really is. You got to let it simmer. Good things take time.
Yeah. And you know what, Alex, that goes with everything in life. You know, I noticed that with people, like even planners, and everybody likes to see it like completed, but nobody likes the process of getting there, right? But the process is something you should embrace, right? Like I laugh at, you know, things that I did. Like my #1 video, honestly, is that lip sucker video that I did. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Like when I was doing beauty channels.
Does it make your lips bigger?
Yes, I got sent by a company this lip plumper thing, right? And it's so hilarious, and people still find it because it's like one of the highest viewed videos. Am I embarrassed by it? Not at all, because you know what? It's the process. It's how I got there, you know, and that should be what people should embrace, is that even if you're small now and you're interacting with people, embrace that, because it's fun. You're meeting your people, like you're interacting with your people. And that's the best part. That's the most fun part, is like, yes, now I have great relationships with like planner famous people. I do. And it's exciting and it's a lot of fun, but it was a process. Like it took a while to get here, but I enjoyed every minute of it. Like the stumbling through, figuring things out, you know, all that kind of stuff is great to look back on and to remember it, because maybe for some people it happens overnight, you know, but that's not the majority of people, where things are just going to happen overnight. But you should embrace the process. You know, it's not about the destination, right? It's about the journey to get there. And so I think people should embrace that a lot before they start freaking out that their numbers aren't high or their numbers are falling or whatever. Just embrace what you've got. Be happy with what's there, you know?
And you're absolutely correct. That's the other thing. People, I know we see every once in a while someone who looks like they made it big overnight. I promise you, there is no overnight successes. It's just you became aware of them overnight. You became aware of them. So it's not, someone has done a lot of work to make it look like they were an overnight success, right? It's never truly an overnight success. I mean, unless you have a viral video, but you know, every one of those viral video people, unless they kept their quality up and made something of themselves, everyone who has a viral video, you're like, where's the guy that, you know, hide your kids, hide your wife.
Oh yeah.
He got like arrested, I think. I mean, it's like, it does not guarantee you success that even if you do have something that goes big overnight. So, you know, this is something to keep in mind. And you were saying something else about that I was, the whole respecting the process and the journey. And that's, a lot of people are averse to having to do work. Mm-hmm. And that's just the absolute truth. So when I always tell people that I really think that there is a guaranteed method for success, and it's doing the work. Mm-hmm. Doing the work is your guaranteed method of success. It's not the most popular answer, but it absolutely is. And this, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a sneaky peek of something. I'm going to give you guys insight, because this is something I actually have been working on. I know that in the summer I talked about putting together a organization course, like a book about organization and getting your stuff together and really making things happen for yourself, because a lot of people ask me how I get my life in order and how I execute, right? So I've put together a product, and it's actually going to be launching on Sunday. So get excited, because Sunday's video is going to be all about it. But that's the truth of the matter. A lot of times is you need to put the work in. You need to know what you need to do. Like you need to know the steps for the recipe in order to make the pie. But there's going to be no pie unless you did the recipe, right? It just doesn't happen that way. So it's very important that people do the work. Very, very important. And that's something that's completely overlooked. And if you feel like you've been trying really hard and things like that, you know what? Maybe get a second opinion, right? Get a second opinion, talk to other people. Sometimes we don't see our own shortcomings. And this is something I talk about in my book as well, that, you know, is sometimes we don't see our own shortcomings. So it's important to have other people's opinions who we know and trust and are close to us. So, you know, it's not just doing hard work and kind of going all over the place doesn't necessarily help you. I can think right now, and Vicki, you might be familiar with this. There was like a picture where it was like all these little arrows, and they're all pointed inward, all out in different directions. And they're like, what's more effective? All the different arrows going all the different directions, or when you put the arrow together and it makes one straight line. When you're throwing effort everywhere, that's not what you want to do. But when you're putting a dedicated effort in a single direction, there's no way you're not going to get there. Just absolutely not. And that's the truth. It may take time, but that's the way life is. Nothing happens overnight.
Right.
So the next thing we're going to talk about, the final piece of this puzzle, working with brands. Okay. And this is another reason why I really wanted Vicky on, because Vicky definitely works with brands more than I do. This is a conscious decision that I've made, that I don't like to work with brands very often. It doesn't go in line with what my vision for my channel is. And that's not a right or wrong. It's a difference thing. And Vicky is someone who I've always respected how honest she is about her in her reviews, and how open and transparent she is when it comes with her working with brands. Not everybody is this transparent, even though YouTube does have rules for transparency. Not everybody is as transparent as they should be, in my opinion. So when it comes to working with brands, a lot of people, get started with the planner community, and they want a free planner to do a review. They want stickers from a sticker shop. They want to see someone's paper clips, or they want inserts or whatever. They want things so that they can grow their channel, which makes sense, right? You have no channel if you don't have content. But the problem is that brands are being inundated by requests like this, like, can I have a planner for free to review? It's one thing when someone comes to you and recognizes the work you're doing, but it's much harder to get a brand. And I'll be honest with you guys, all the brands I've ever worked with, you guys, I'm trying to think. I think there's only been 1 or 2 times where I've reached out to a brand and they've given me something. Usually, and this is with a decent sized following. And most of the time it's people coming to me. So this is not a thing where I just send out requests and people just mail me things. It is, even for someone who does have a nice presence, right? It is hard to get, if they don't want to, if they're not already thinking they want to work with you, they may shut down, right? If they don't see the value in that. And if you are first starting out and you don't have a big following, the first thing you need to do is to prove yourself, right? So before you can even ask for free stuff, and reach out to these places, you need to prove yourself with that consistency. You need to prove that your quality is good. Like Vicky was saying before, these businesses and brands will expect a certain quality from you. And you really need to have a following before brands will be willing to work for you. Do you need a huge following? I find that no, you don't need a huge following. I think that you need a nice sized, a small dedicated following is wonderful. And someone who I know that's great at this is, and I think she might be on here, but she may have popped off, Mandy Jean Chic. She is not someone who has a humongous following, but she works with a lot of craft stores. Michael's works with her. I want to say Heidi Swap, and I hope this is okay that I'm talking about this, but I know she's very open about this stuff as well. They come to her and ask her if she can do a craft project or incorporate an item, and she's very good about that. And she doesn't have, she's got a smaller following, but geez Louise, she gets a lot of opportunities. And it's not necessarily monetary opportunities, but definitely, she's getting attention because she's got that quality and that dedicated following. So that's what you want to keep in mind first, is you really do need to prove yourself. And I think it's, fine if you're small and you want to send out a very nice, polite email to a bunch of places and maybe with some pitches for what you'd like to do with their product. I think that that's a best practice, but you need to make sure you realize that expect the no, expect them to say no, and make sure that your response to that is respectful, because once you do get to that place you're ultimately going to get to, because you're going to be working hard and consistently, they may want to work with you again. So you don't want to burn any bridges. So another point with that is to act professionally when you're interacting with these brands, and be honest about what you're willing to do to help them promote their products and what you want to do with their products. And I think that the more insight you can give them, if you can tell them, look, I'm working on, I'll give you an example, like my spiral planner video. I think everyone sent me one for that one. But let's say I concepted that video and I needed a bunch of spiral planners for it, and I reached out and I said to like Lime Life was one of the people that sent me a planner, and Bando sent me a planner, and let's say I reached out to them and said, hey, I'm doing this planner video. This is my plans for it. They might be more inclined to send you things because you've got a clear plan and a vision for what you want to do. And they might think, oh, wow, that's, this person knows what they're doing, and that's impressive. But then again, always expect the no, anticipate the negative response and be professional about it, because it is their right. Sometimes these places have very minimal budgets, especially in the planner community. There's not a lot of big planner companies. that have like these great budgets where they can throw around money and throw around products to everybody. So just be thankful for what offers you do get and what opportunities you do get, but always be professional. And I say, and this is one of the reasons like I love Vicky, the next thing is to develop a code of ethics for your interactions with brands. And I love Vicky's ethics for when she works with brands and what she tells brands when she's working with them. So Vicky, tell us about what your code is when you interact with a brand.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to say first and foremost that I have to be honest, I didn't know when I started doing videos that companies would send stuff to me, to be honest with you. I never thought of that. What I thought of was, what am I going to sell on eBay to buy Filofaxes? Or, you know, what am I going to sell so that I could get products to show people on YouTube? So I honestly didn't even know that companies could do that, where they could send you products. And like my first experience really with getting a big company was when I talked about Franklin Covey. Now I found a Franklin Covey used for like 12 bucks on eBay. And then I went to Staples and was like, hey, they have inserts and stuff here. Why doesn't anybody talk about Franklin Covey? So when I came out and talked to them, bam, I got an email like 2 days later from the company saying, hey, we'd love to send you something because you talked about us. So it depends. It depends on how a company's going to find you or reach out to you in that aspect, is what I want to say, because that was the first time that I was like, holy cow, like, I can't believe a big company like this cares what I have to say. That's insane. And, you know, and they liked the way that I presented myself and the way that I talked about their product and was very true with it. So with that said, after I started showing that, that's kind of when companies started saying, hey, wait a minute, she had a bigger company, send her something. Let's see, you know, what she can do. And what happens is when I interact with a company, there's a couple of things, and I share this with Alexis, there's a couple of things I look for. And I like to screen them before I ever show anything on my channel. And that is, what is your mission? What you as a company, why are you doing what you're doing? Why, how passionate are you about what you're doing? You know, and why do you want to send me a planner? What's your drive for it? Now, I know a lot of times it's because they want to sell. And that a lot of, depending on how they respond to me, will depend on whether or not I agree to doing the review. So that's why you guys will see I get a lot of smaller companies that I like to share. Like, I don't talk about a lot of the bigger companies that are out there, because I love the underdog. I love to highlight the underdog. That's who I love to talk about, because those are the people who take the time to send me an email and say, you know what, I gave up my job. I decided to have a family, and this is my dream, Vicky. Like, this is my dream. I put together something that really means a lot to me, and I love it if you'd show it on your channel. Absolutely. Please send me your planner. Absolutely. Versus getting kind of a more generic email from a company, I'm a little less interested in doing the review, because they're a company who wants to sell. And that's not what I want to do on my channel, because I don't benefit from that. Just because they send me a free planner, okay, great. I have 50 million planners. It's not that I need a planner. I want to talk about a company that deserves to be spoken about. So that's not what that I don't care that a big company, like, and I don't want to name names, but if a big company was like, hey, I want to send you a whole load of stuff, I don't really need that. I want to talk to people about a product that someone is really passionate about. So that's one of the things that I screen for. And then when I talk to a company back and say, yes, I love your passion. I love your vision. I love what you're doing. But I have to tell you, if I'm showing your planner and I dislike something, are you comfortable with me saying that on air? And 9 out of 10 times they'll say yes. I have had companies who say, I'm not comfortable with that, or what bad things are you going to say? Can you tell me first? No. I have to be completely transparent with people. This is how I like the relationship I like to have with people. So if I cannot be 100% honest, I won't be. But I'm also honest in a way that doesn't drag a name through the dirt. That's not my style. That's not what I want to do. I don't want to drag anybody's names through the dirt. But I also will say, this isn't what works for me. And I try and stress that as much as I possibly can in a video. I don't want to be like, well, this planner sucks. Well, no, because for some people it works. It just doesn't work for me. And this is why I don't like it. And I think when you're clear like that, when you tell people this is why I don't like it, you don't just say blanket statement, I don't like it. well, okay, well, I like it. Who cares if, you have to tell people, why don't you like it? And I think that that's like a big deal. And that's why companies like it, is because I'm really being thorough and saying, I don't like it because your paper quality is not great. I use a fountain pen. It bleeds. It's doing this. Because that helps them as a company, so that's the way to look at it as well, is when you're receiving products, you could be excited about receiving free stuff. It's really exciting. But at the same time, you're doing the company a huge favor. You're doing free commercials. You're promoting them. A lot of times when I come on and do something like I did the Naked Cow, like the leather traveler's notebooks, he's flooded, so I'm doing them a favor. Now, I love him. I have a great relationship with Joy from the Naked Cow, so I'm okay with doing that. And I know his passion and all that stuff, but you need to keep that in mind too. Like when these big companies are sending you stuff, you are doing them the favor. You're doing their work for them by doing a review and promoting them. And that's another thing I keep in mind. And that's why honesty, I don't feel bad about being honest, because I'm doing them a favor by promoting their product. So that's kind of how I look into it. It's not just getting the free stuff. Is it stuff that I would buy? Is it stuff that I'm interested in? And and a lot of it, 50% of it, if not more, I do buy by myself, because I don't want, people to think I wouldn't spend my own money on it if I love it. So I am willing to buy my own stuff most of the time, except for like those, like the mom and pop shops. I love promoting those mom and pop shops.
Absolutely. And that's another great thing that Vicky said, is that the, oh, geez, Louise, that last part you just said before the mom and pop, and I just like popped out of my head. You're doing them a favor. That you're doing them a favor. This is one of the reasons why I honestly do not accept a lot of things from companies, because unfortunately, especially within the craft community, I saw someone put this in the comments. A lot of times in the craft and planner community, people aren't willing to sponsor a video and give you money, right? Unfortunately, I cannot feed myself with your planner. So the fact that my videos are high quality, it does take some time and energy. If it's not something I'm like super in love with, like a product I'm super behind, I don't want to just take a free planner. I can buy one myself. And what's really funny, you guys, point blank, I've had several situations where I've been reached out to by a company and they wanted to send me something. I was interested in the product, but they did not want what they wanted from me. I didn't want to just take a free planner or a free product, and I ended up buying it myself. It's like, because to me, it wasn't worth my integrity to get the free thing. I could pay for it myself. It was more, and then I didn't have to deal with their confines and maybe what they were expecting or whatnot. Because a lot of times in this community, they do expect, you're giving them free advertising. It's so valuable, especially on YouTube. This is so valuable when you have a creator who does have a nice dedicated following, who when that person mentions something, it flies off the shelves. It really, really is very powerful. Remember that they need you more than you need them, really, honestly.
Yeah. So, and I just want to say one more thing, Alexis, when you touch on the topic of, like how Mandy Jean gets a lot of companies to sponsor her, there's a lot of companies out there that really love someone who's super passionate about stuff. And that's why they will target you. So that's why coming across on camera very passionately about something, people will look at that. And a lot of these, people who are the hobbyists, because that's what it really is, the crafting world. And, the planner has become part of the crafting world is really, I think it's evolved into, is we've kind of meshed it together by making these like memory planners. A lot of companies reach out because they love you because you're so passionate. Like Mandy Jean is so crafty and awesome. If I had a huge company,
she's like a professional DIYer.
I would reach out to her too, because she's passionate. She's awesome. She's not just a face that I want to sell product. Like if I were a company owner, I don't just want to sell product. I'd want to sell something I love and that I know works and that people will love too. And I think like those companies, like you're saying, that are working with her, is because they see her passion. And so that could be, another thing also for people who maybe are discouraged that they don't have a huge following. Just because you don't have a huge following, like you said, doesn't mean a company doesn't look for you, because a lot of companies, especially like smaller companies, will look for you because they know that they can interact with you one-on-one versus like, somebody huge, like the beauty people now are getting a lot of like the Erin Condren planners and things like that. And they're a big name, so they know they can sell a ton of planners that way. But let's say an underdog comes in who's got an awesome planner, knows that they probably get lost in that shuffle, may look for somebody smaller to start off with, you know? So, you know, that's another way to kind of look at it too, is that sometimes just because you're not don't have a huge following doesn't mean someone won't be interested in you.
Absolutely. Opportunities are really literally everywhere, and you make more opportunities for yourself the more unique and passionate you are about your content. And that's like you said with Mandy Jean. Mandy Jean has a small following. She's super passionate about DIY, like a fanatical. She's like if I need to DIY something, I call Mandy Jean. Like something's broke, I'm like, Mandy Jean, how do I DIY this? Like she knows her stuff, and that is very valuable. It, you know, to certain businesses, that's much up their alley. So it doesn't matter that you're not big. It's, you know, your passion sometimes is a big selling point for you. So, you know, just to wrap this up, like Vicky has a really awesome, highly respectable process for, you know, vetting the companies that she's going to review. Just to give you guys an idea, my process is, I mean, I don't necessarily do a ton of background on people, mostly because I'm someone who my default is no, I'm not going to be reviewing anything, right? So that's where my mind is normally. But when it does come to something that I'm kind of interested in, or I could see fitting into an upcoming video or something that's going on in my channel, I do always tell the brands that if they're sending me something, they are sending it for consideration only. I do not agree that I will even make a video or share it anywhere. So my thing is like, you better feel like I really am a good fit for you, and have really have faith in your product. Because if it doesn't impress me, I may not do a video even to say like, oh, I didn't like it, you know, like, because I don't like to do that. I wouldn't make a video just to say what was wrong with something. I do love how Vicky does when she gives the feedback about, like, I love the example of the paper quality, because Vicky has a legit reason. I feel like a lot of people will complain, don't want to say complain, because I feel like that's a strong word, but a lot of people will maybe have a problem with certain aspects of a planner, like paper quality. Always, I feel like paper quality is always asked about. But Vicky uses a fountain pen. Like, you guys, I can write on anything with my little Papermate Flair or like my ballpoint pen, but when you've got a fountain pen, it really matters. So I think that having these legitimate concerns are so important. And for me, it's just like, I don't want to bind my hands to someone else when I know I'm doing them a favor. So my policy is that I tell them if I am interested, and I accept. I will tell them, like, look, I'm interested. However, my policy is that you're sending these to me for consideration. I do not promise that anything is going to happen. You're sending this to me, and we're going to see how it goes if I like it. But, you know, I've got like so much going on. It's like, I don't need someone's free product to come up with an excellent video. So, you know, most companies are fine. I've had companies that are like, never mind, unless you're going to definitely do it, I don't want to send you anything. But then there's been a lot of companies that say, here, take it. If I know you're going to love it. I'm so confident. And, you know, the other thing is too, is that it tells me that you know who I am, right? If you come to me with a certain type of planner, you know who I am and what I like, right? Which means you really are someone who follows me. A lot of times I'll get offers for things and I'm like, who even thought that I wanted this? Like, why would you come to me? I'm not the right person. So that also shows me that they have confidence that they know who I am. And they know what I like, and they're not looking just to waste my time. Like, they trust in their product, and they trust that, you know, they know what they're sending me is a style that they think I will enjoy. Like, truly, they believe that. So, and then of course, when it comes to my videos, you know, I always tell you guys when I get things for free. So, you know, I tell you guys, this is what I got for free. And I do always give you guys my honest opinions, because I do realize that this is something that if I had to spend my money on it, I really want to look at it from that point of view, that if I spent my money on it, how would I feel about this, right? Because sometimes we do get a little bit colored when we get things for free. We do think, you know what, we look at it with like a little bit of rose-colored glasses. So I always strive to be as honest as possible. So that's my policy. And of course, like I said in the beginning, you know, being transparent with your audience is also something that's important because of YouTube requirements for disclosure of sponsored videos and affiliate promotion. So, you know, when it comes to, just to give you guys a background on what you need to do when you do have a product that's free, I would absolutely, if you did not say it, please try to say it if you received something. If you see something for free, say it in your video. please. It's a best practice. Also leave an FTC disclaimer in your description box that says that you received the products for review purposes. And you can like look through, like, and you can look at different people's, I mean, a lot of people have them like just default in their description box. Like I always have one default. So, you know, make sure you're transparent there. If you get a sponsored opportunity where someone's paid you money, you have to disclose it. Actually, YouTube, when you're actually uploading, there are, in your monetization settings, you actually have to disclose if it was sponsored or not. And you need to disclose that, again, with that FTC disclaimer. You don't have to necessarily say it in your video. Although there's a new rule that's coming out now that if something has been sponsored, a video has been sponsored, they like you to put that word ad, in parentheses in your title so people know that they are watching a video that has been sponsored. Now, that does not mean if someone sent you something for free, if you were paid to do a video, have to say ad. And I think they also want you to indicate during the portion that is an ad, because you might see this with like a lot of beauty gurus that maybe do like vlogs. Sometimes their vlog will be sponsored by, I don't know, let's say a tissue company, right? Like Kleenex, right? Well, the whole video isn't an ad for Kleenex, but they'll have a little segment that is them cleaning up a mess with a Kleenex or using a Kleenex. And at that point, you need to have something like pop up in your video that tells people this is the portion of my video that's an ad. So those are the rules for transparency on YouTube. I think that disclosing is always disclose, disclose, disclose. The more you say, the better. You don't have to tell people how much you made, of course, off of sponsored postings like that. That's private, but you do need to let people know that it's been sponsored. And YouTube does have different rules for that, or you know, you could be flagged or whatever, or they can pull down your video or whatnot. So just things to make sure that your hands are clean and you're doing everything by the rules, because that's really, really important.
I just want to say one more thing, Alexis, is that, so if you do, you know, a lot of people are, I don't want to say yearning, but desiring to get the free products. One thing I want to say to you though, is if you are, just know that you're opening up Pandora's box when you do that, because no matter what, if you get a product and you don't like it, you're like, what am I going to do with this? Right? Like you may think you love it, but you got to know that there's some products that are going to get sent to you that you're not going to love. So you need to be prepared that not everything you're going to get sent is fantastic and awesome. And so just know that you could be shooting yourself in the foot by saying yes to all these things, and then you dislike them. And then you're like, you got to show it, you know, like, cause if you didn't tell them, I may or may not show this, you've got to, because you're obligated kind of to do that. You know, like that's what you want to, you don't want to have a bad reputation, I want to say, with companies. And I'm sure companies talk to each other at some point in time too, or, you know, like they probably have a community of some sort too, where they're like, you know, this person, I sent them a whole bunch of stuff and they never reviewed it, or, you know, whatever. So just know that when you are saying yes and you're starting to take all these products in, know that you're kind of opening up a Pandora's box, because there's stuff you're not going to like. You know, and you can tell when people review stuff that they don't like it, but they're like, oh yeah, this is great. But it's not something I'm going to use. You know what I mean? So you don't want to do that, because then you don't want your videos just to be about that, because people are going to get bored with that too, because it's not genuine. You know,
absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like, if you really want a planner and you want to get it for free, just buy it. Like, because it's like, it's much easier when you've bought and paid for it, and done the review and it's honest and things like that. And, you know, because you're absolutely right that there are situations where, number one, you know, this is, like I said, make sure you're willing to, you're honest with the company about what you're willing to do and have that laid out, what your responsibilities are going to be. When you're getting paid money, they will make sure that there's an outline of like what your terms are, what you need to be doing. But even if you're getting something for free, make sure you outline that stuff, because if you did not, like, even legally on your end, like if I didn't tell someone that I wasn't planning on making a video with it, like if I didn't give that little disclaimer of mine, they could come back to me and, you know, I don't know, like if someone gets sued for not making a video, but they might make a problem for me, which, you know, is, you know, it's a hassle. So, you know, make sure you are, you know, accepting things that you really like. And, you know, it's a whole Pandora's box once you do go down that, that road. And, you know, even if there's not like a secret underground network of like the businesses talking to each other, if they watch your channel, right? And especially with smaller companies, if they watch your channel, they know how you treat, other people's products, right? So that's going to be something that's going to be like, it's going to be a little bit obvious to them if you're the kind of person who's just trying to grab every planner to play with it. they'll figure it out. So yeah, that's how we work with our brands. It's just like, I really think honesty is the best policy, and just being transparent is so important, not just from a legal standpoint on YouTube, but just developing like a really good code of ethics is very, very important. So we've been talking for an hour and a half. My husband gets like a treat because he was totally right. This is going to go on to about 2 hours probably, but I know that this is a topic there's a lot of you who are continuing to join, I can see. So this is a topic I know people are really interested in. So at this point, I would love to open up to some Q&As. So if you guys want to leave some questions in the comments, we'll address some of those. And the first thing I want to address is I remembered this, Alexis, there's another girl named Alexis who's in my community who left a question earlier about, I think it had to do with, and correct me if I'm wrong, like if you are a lifestyle channel and you want to switch to planner, how you kind of deal with managing that sort of transition. So this is something that Vicky and I both have experience with, like transitioning. So I would say that for me personally, when I made my transition, I did do a little bit of rebranding. Like I rebranded my site a little bit so it wasn't like techie, and showed that it was more planner. So I think it's really important to rebrand. I think it's really important to make a video where you tell your audience the truth and say, hey guys, I started my channel doing this, and guess what? I fell in love with this topic instead. I want to talk about planners. So I'm going to be slowly, or you tell them however quickly you want to do the transition. You are going to be transitioning to this new topic. And so let them know, be like, look, I would love if you guys would stay subscribed. But if you do, if we do need to part ways, like I completely understand, I'm totally changing my channel, something like that. So that's what I would say. Like I would say, do a little bit of changing your branding, because your branding might not fit anymore. Like you might have a header that looks different, like if you were talking about beauty before and now you're talking about planners, you need to replace the lipstick icon with the planner icon, so, that's important. But then also, making a video just one time, you can, if you want to, you can, spread the word on other social media if you have a following. I think if you have a very small following, like sub 100 people, I don't think you need to worry that much about all announcements, but making one video is very important so that it kind of gives people, who are going back and watching your videos from the beginning. I have a few people who went back to the very beginning and watched my videos, and they, they'd commented to me that they, it was interesting to see the transition of my videos from where they had been, and not, I didn't delete my old videos. I left them up, which some people would say if you're changing topics, delete the old videos. I say no, because if those videos are doing well and they were, you put some effort into them, they may continue to generate interest. And someone like, Vicky found me with a Furby video. Like, come on, like how far from planning could that be? So it's really, I think it's just letting people know though, along the way. I've always kind of kept you guys updated for what my changes are going to be. I always tell you guys everything, like, hey guys, I'm changing my schedule. Instead of, I remember there was a period of time where I did Monday through Friday. I put up a video every day, Monday through Friday. And then I did that for 10 weeks. It was excruciating. And then I was like, hey guys, not going to do this anymore. So it's like, just be honest with people. Let them know what the change is going to be. You don't have to make a big to-do about it, but at least when people are going through, or if someone has a question and says, why aren't you making beauty videos anymore? You send them the link to that video and said, you missed this. And they watch it and they see what's going on. So you give them the legitimate reason for why you're changing your channel. So that's what I would suggest. Vicky, do you have any other update for that?
I would say, gosh, I don't know. I feel like you just touched on like stuff that I don't know, I've transitioned, and I don't know that I actually made like a legitimate statement that said I was transitioning, because I didn't have like a super strong, passionate following, kind of like I do now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's my channel. So if I want to change the direction of it, or I've changed as a person, because I think that happens, and that happens with most YouTubers. Like, even if you watch, because I started in the beauty community, I still have a lot of subscriptions to beauty channels. And if you watch like Ingrid Nilsson, Miss Glamorazzi, she's totally changed, like completely, she still kind of does some beauty stuff, but she's completely changed her direction. Like, she gives more like life advice and what you do in this, that, and the other, versus what she used to be like just purely makeup. It's kind of turned me away from her channel, but that's okay, because that's who she is now. So I think that you can go with who you are. Like if for some reason I decided to stop using planners or, you know, went a completely different route, I think I would transition, and I would hope that, you know, if people still liked me, they would continue to do it. But, you know, my drive on YouTube isn't necessarily just for others, it's for me too. It's for me to grow and for me to learn. And so I think that if I needed to take a different direction, I would, because making false content for people, I don't think they would appreciate it. You know, if I was continuing to talk about planners and I hated it, I think people would see that. I think people would be like, I'm kind of losing interest in this. So I would probably lose in that situation anyway, versus all of a sudden I became passionate about oil painting, you know, and just wanted to talk about oil painting. Then I might find another niche. And I might find another group of people that might teach me something, or I might learn something from them. So for me, just like in life, things happen organically and things might, you know, change a little bit. I would just go with that. You know, wherever I'm feeling the passion, I'd go with the passion, I guess is what I would do.
Absolutely. I mean, and this is like not like any right or wrong way. I would just say like what I gave, like, doesn't mean everyone has to do that, right?
Right.
But I definitely think, you know, it could be like a best practice. If you're asking me what I would suggest that you do, I would say make a video. It's super easy. Just make a video, let people know what's going on. Super transparent. People understand. It helps answer questions. So I got another question in here about reusing content from like a podcast audio and like putting a slideshow up. Would I suggest doing that? This is the thing that I'm really conscious about. I'm in a phase now where I actually, in my life and in like my business and in my content creation, where I look back and I've got so much content, and a lot of it has been like, I won't say like underappreciated, but as I've grown throughout the years, like most people, like I said, don't go back and watch from the very beginning. Not a lot of people go back to my blog to the very first post and read forward, because that's years of content, right? But it's important to me right now to start reusing or recycling content the best way that I can. But I have to balance that with the fact that I try to always honor the medium that I'm in. So I could take a topic for anything, any topic, like any video topic or blog post topic, anything, and I could adjust it for any medium. So I could make a video on a topic, I could make a blog post on a topic, I might be able to style a photo for a topic. Definitely a way I would approach a podcast might be completely different. So what I would say is reusing the content in terms of maybe just taking that topic and then turning it into a video, so you're optimizing it for video, is the way I would go. I wouldn't necessarily take the audio and create a slideshow. Now, I do think it works the other way though. I do think you can take a video and take the audio out and make it part of a podcast. I do believe you can do that, just because videos do tend to be a little bit more organized. And once you're, you know, unless the video has like a visual element where you're like describing what something looks like, you know, there's a lot of videos that I have that are informational that I could just take, I could lift the audio and make it a podcast if I was a podcaster. So things can go one way, maybe not the other so easily. I hope that helps answer your question. It just wouldn't be something I would necessarily do, just because I do like to honor the medium that I'm in and optimize things for where they're best suited.
I totally agree with you on that. And then I see another question pop up that I think is really interesting, where someone says how would someone with no initial funds begin to create her own planner content and sell them? So I get asked that question actually a lot, is, you know, where do I go? How do I get started and I'm honestly going to say that you could try to actually collaborate with someone. I've had people actually reach out to me and ask me if I'd be interested in collaborating with them. So, for example, you could try to reach out to, you know, again, like Alexis and I were saying, we work together in like this planner community, and the way that you make relationships is that you comment on people's videos, right? So like, I remember when I would talk with Corey, the Reset Girl, and like leaving her comments and stuff like that. You build a relationship with them, just like people build relationships with me. I know who all my frequent commenters are. Like, I know exactly, like I could pick out 10 names right now, and I know exactly who comments to me very frequently. And so if one of those people reached out to me and said, you know what, I have a great idea. Do you think we can collaborate on this together? And it could happen, you know, in that way. So if you kind of try to reach out to another person and maybe you guys could put your forces together and collaborate, because I've collaborated with tons of folks before, you know, just on content to, you know, see where you can push your limits and what you can do. That would be my suggestion, is to try to reach out to someone to try and collaborate with them, you know, like, and that may not be easy and you could get a lot of no's and a lot of, you know, doors slammed in your face. That's part of the legwork. Like that, you know, no one's going to fund you. No one's going to be like, here's $1 million, please make me a planner. You have to start somewhere. You have to do the scut work to get to that level. But that would be my suggestion, would be try and collaborate with somebody. Try your own, try a DIYer and put that together, and then see if anyone really loves your idea, and take it from there. You can start with digital downloads on Etsy, because those don't cost much. You know, if you have like digital inserts that you come up with, like you're great at designing, throw them up on Etsy. It's like 20 cents, I think, right? To have something on Etsy, I think, be put up. It's like whatever the 20 cents is, and you make a digital and people can download it themselves and print it. And it doesn't really cost you all that much. You know, like you're not printing them and cutting them and sending them to people. But that could be a good avenue for you to see, are people biting your product? You know, if even just putting out digital content. So that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, so that's a really good point, to collaborate with people, because that can definitely open a lot of doors and kind of stimulate you creatively.
Yeah.
The way I wanted to initially answer that question is, so it sounds like you want to make planner inserts or planner supplies to sell. I think that you do first need to start with what you've, like we said, like what we've got, like Vicky said, there's DIYs, you can DIY things. Obviously, you know, when it comes to starting a business and selling things, you do need a little bit of money. You need a little bit of investment. So this might be a situation where you might start your channel doing like some DIYs that are super inexpensive with maybe like, honestly, like this is a crazy idea, but like found objects, or things you have around your house, or reusing paper and things like that, scraps from newspapers, places where you can get things really like free, like, you know, like an old newspaper, you get it for free. So, you know, really have to think creatively in order to solve that problem. But I would also then, you know, really figure out, like, have a plan for what it is that you want to sell, and kind of figure out what money you're going to need. So if you want to design inserts, you know, there are people that use things like Microsoft Word. There's also a free Microsoft Word like program called Open Office that you could technically design inserts in there. It's not what I use. I use Adobe InDesign. That's like the professional premier software for you know, designing anything that's printed, like inserts. But you know, there are definitely people who make it work with, you know, Excel and Microsoft Word and like that Open Office, like I said. So you can do Open Office. There's also a free Photoshop-like program called GIMP Shop, I believe it is. So, you know, there is free software out there where you can get yourself started if you want to start selling things. But I would definitely suggest, you know, have a plan for how you're going to get the money to get yourself the best equipment that you can afford. And I know that that's easier said than done, but you know, you can definitely start small, and maybe take custom orders for people. I mean, I know there is someone who hand draws inserts. Like they literally take pieces of paper, cut it down to size, and like hand letters them. And I bet you there's a market for that somewhere. Like if you have really good handwriting, or if you can draw, maybe you can illustrate. That's definitely something you could do. It's within the realm of possibility. So you just need to think creatively about what your strengths are and make a realistic plan for what can get done. So I hope that helps. Are there any other questions? Oh, collaborating with YouTubers is different than trying to see if I missed anything.
Yeah, I saw that. I think I see that. I think Erin was asking. She wants to collaborate with a YouTuber, or I'm sorry, she wants to collaborate with a shop. Here, I sell inserts and have wanted to collaborate with a sticker shop, but I'm not sure how that would look, and I don't want to waste my one shot at reaching out to them. So I don't think that it would be a waste trying to reach out to them. If anything, you could reach out to several of them and see what they say in that regard. I don't think anything's ever a waste, to be honest. Even if some people say no to me now. I get companies saying no to me point blank, but I would never know if I didn't try. That's the thing, is like people who are successful in this put their necks out on the line in order to do it. That, like even Alexis giving up her job to do what she's doing now, she took a huge risk. And that's the way that you're either going to fall flat on your face, which is okay, and you learn from it and you get up and you keep going, or you're going to do great. And that you have to take that risk, because if you don't, you'll never know, and you'll never grow. Also, if you don't do it. So I would say it's worth a shot, even if if you think it's not going to go anywhere. I mean, what's the worst thing? They say no to you, then you just email somebody else. And they could say no to you and email someone else. And also I'd suggest collaborating with a YouTuber who may want to, like a lot of big YouTubers will be like, I'll do that too. If people send things to my PO box, that's another, check people's info boxes, because a lot of times they'll have PO boxes down there. I have those too. And small shops will send me little trinkets and stuff that I'll plug into my videos every once in a while. I'll plug in like, hey, this sticker shop sent me X, Y, and Z. I think that's worth it too. Just send your product out, even if you're doing it for free, because a lot of things you're gonna have to do for free. Even if you do like inserts, you may have to put an insert out there that's free, and people are gonna be like, wow, this is cool, like I like it, I'm willing to pay now for it. You have to get that that initial bite. I mean, us doing YouTube is free. Like that first video, I didn't get paid. I didn't get any money for that. I don't get any money for it. It's free. And it's kind of the same idea. When you're doing a business, you may have to do some stuff for free just to get that grab, like where people are going to like your stuff, to want to pay for it. Because why do they want to pay for your stuff? What sets you apart from anyone else that I want to buy it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Absolutely.
You want to get your feet wet any way you can. And a lot of times doing it for free, everyone knows. Unfortunately, it's the way of the world. And this is the thing that I have to say, is that you definitely want to draw a line, what you're willing to do for free and what you're not willing to do for free. I definitely will say that within the design community, I'll put it that way. My husband's a graphic designer, right? How many people want you to like create a logo for them or do a project for them? And they're like, well, I will pay you once I see it and like it. No, because it just took him hours and hours to do that. So you're going to pay him for his effort, and then you're going to pay him if you like it and you want to keep it, right? So, a lot of times there's a lot of, I don't say like discrimination, but like a lot of times people try to take advantage. So you do need to know what you're willing to do for free, because you're trying to get your feet wet and get your name out there, and what you're not willing to do for free. So we were talking about someone who wanted to collab with a sticker shop, right? Mm-hmm. And she was worried about like risking sending her an email. The one thing I will say is that if you send a really great email where you have a concrete, like you're very friendly, you tell someone, like, give them some sort of personal warm fuzzies for like you've been following them, or you like their work, or you liked a certain release. Give them something personal so they know you know who they are and you didn't just Google them and then send them an email. That helps. And then if you have a concrete plan for what you want to do, say, look, this is what I'm trying to do, and this is how I think we can achieve it, and this is what I think it will help, how it will help you. And I think that if you lay it out nice and cleanly like that, it helps. It's like going on a job interview or doing like what is it, like when you do one of those cover letters, right? You have to like explain to people during the interview and with the cover letter, like how, not that you were perfect, not that you would get so much out of their job, right? The job that they're hiring for, but how they would get so much out of having you, right, as helping you with the job. So that's the thing you have to remember. And if you write a really good email, still doesn't mean you're not going to get a no, but it increases the chance of a yes. So that's what I would say. So put effort into what you're doing when you're contacting people. And of course, there's a more efficiency. There's lots of different shops that you could go to. So you're not going to be at a loss there for people to collab with. Right. Have you seen any other questions? Sorry, I'm like, they keep popping in and out for me.
I saw someone ask, when do you think it's a good time to get a PO box? I'd say, I got a PO box because I wanted to interact with people and get letters. That was my reason for getting it. And I didn't want people to have my address. Like, I value my privacy. So I would say that if you are in a situation where people are like, hey, can I send you something? And you're getting an overwhelming response. The cost of a PO box for me is about like $90 for the year, but you can opt to have it for half the year. So I would say, like, try it and see, like, is it worth it? You know, because you can always cancel, or you can always by the end of 6 months or whatever be done with it. But if you feel like you need one, you probably need one. You know, that's like where I was. Like, people say, can I send you something? Can I send you a letter? And not that I think everyone is crazy out there, or, you know, that I wouldn't, but there are crazies out there. Okay. There are, and I don't need people showing up at my doorstep, or I don't need somebody to send me some kind of profanity in a box. I don't need that. I've got a kid. We try and keep it G-rated around here, you know, and so that was my reason for getting one.
Yeah, and on my end, I don't have one. And this goes back to that conscious decision I made where I don't do a lot of accepting things, and that's just me. When I do accept things, people, do tend to be like businesses or people that I've developed relationships online, and I know they're not crazy. And I let them send things to my home. But that's just part of my thing. And I do get asked from people who want to send me letters and things like that. And just like, you know, and this is just my own personal thing, is that I tell people like that, like just hearing from them or just them sending me the email that they wanted to send me something is literally enough for me. And I always just ask them if they have something that they want to send, you know, pay it forward. That's like my thing. Pay it forward. I have enough. And I know, you know, this is the thing that's always kind of irked me about some YouTubers. Like I do watch some bigger YouTubers, and I'm like, people, they get like, they'll do P.O. box hauls. Mm-hmm. And this is a personal thing. I'm only saying this for me, myself. But I see like these YouTubers who are just flat out rich, right? Like you're loaded and you're doing a P.O. box haul, and people have sent you gifts. And I'm just like, it doesn't sit well with me. So I decided a long time ago that people were not going to send me anything. Not because I didn't appreciate the sentiment, but because it's a slippery slope. And I would feel like I needed to like send every single person back a letter and like send them a present in return, because I'm a crazy person and Italian, and that's just like the way I am. So it would just become too cumbersome. So, this is another thing, like when I first started with the planner community, and there was a lot of like rack groups on Facebook, I would send people racks, but I would not let anyone rack me back, because it's like, I don't need anything. I'm here to add value and like help other people. I'm the last person who needs you to send me like some present in the mail. Like I can afford my presents, and really where I would like your gratitude is just send me a tweet, or send me leave me a comment on Instagram, like send me an email. That's really what means the most to me, is that you even just took the time to think about me. So totally. That's just my personal, the way that I approach it. And I know everybody is different. And, you know, part of it is privacy, especially like me and Vicky both live in heavily populated areas. I'm sure that I've got a lot of followers who live very close to me, like close enough that they could come to my house. And I've had some situations where some weird people that have literally like kind of like internet stalked me and like sent me weird messages. And so, you know, you got to be careful. Got to be careful. If, like Vicky said, though, I like what you said. If you feel like you need one, you probably need one. So I've never had that feeling.
Yeah, I just, you know, I like letters from people. I like the old school, like the snail mail. I enjoy that process of opening up a letter. And some people use beautiful stationery, and I'm a paper nerd. Like I love the texture of paper. Some people write books and they want to share them with me, and I'm totally okay with that as well. But yeah, the gift part, I don't need it. I understand some people, like their language of love is gift giving, and that's how they want to show you their appreciation. I'm totally okay with that. But I've opened it up mainly, you know, for the letter part. I like to interact with people for the letters in the car.
And you're the kind of person that would want to, like, if someone sent you, like, you'd want to write them back, and it's that's not me. So it's like, I know that I would go overboard if that was me. It would take from my life.
Yeah. And I saw somebody say something up at the top here. If I take Facebook requests from people on my personal page. So I do not, and I'm not embarrassed to not, because I have a Facebook page. I have a MissVickyBee page, and people are welcome to look there and do things on there. But my personal life is not, and I use I guess I use the term loosely as friends for the people that I have on YouTube. But if I don't know you, if I've never really met you or interacted with you, why in the world would I give a personal Facebook page to you? You know, so I don't feel bad about it. If you deny someone, it doesn't say like a red stamp denied. Like Facebook just doesn't allow the friendship to occur. I do get tons of those, and I just don't accept them unless I know the person. Like if Alexis sent me a friend request on Facebook, of course I know her, you know, and it'd be fun to share that. But if I don't know you, no, I do not allow that in wherever that question was.
Yeah, I agree. I don't do that either. I'm like the complete weirdo. I actually have 2 Facebook accounts. One is my personal one, where if you don't know me in real life, like I've never physically met you, you're not going to become friends with me there for sure. And the other one is my one that's just for planner, like my guilty pleasure planner things. And I actually have my cover photo says that I don't accept friend requests there either, because when I go onto that account, all I want to see is the feeds from my community, like the different groups I'm in. That's all I want to see. But like, again, I have a Facebook page. I've got a Facebook group that you can join. There are ways for you to like be friends with me on Facebook and interact with me. Plus, like, Twitter and Instagram, like I'm everywhere. So you are not at a lack. And I don't think it means anything if you don't want to be friends with someone. It makes complete sense. Like everyone has a different experience. Like I realize, like I'm the crazy person I have a personal and I have a planner one. The planner one, I don't even accept friendships. I only even accepted a few people just to help them like get into my groups and things like that. Yeah. So that's about it.
Yeah, don't feel like a jerk if you don't accept them. It's okay. No, I don't think you have to protect yourself. I mean, you're number one, and you don't know who they could have a really pretty friendly girl picture, but it's like some creeper behind it. You never know whose account you're looking at. Someone asked me if I'm a nurse. I am a nurse. I haven't done bedside nurse. I did surgical intensive care. I did a lot of trauma patients. And I have not done bedside nursing since 2010. 2010, I did informatics. I did nursing informatics. And then now that I have my daughter, I teach nursing online, just to answer that, because people were questioning that. And
yeah, and I would say for people who feel like they're a jerk when they deny, I don't think it is. I think people are just like curious and they're like, let's see if they'll, I don't know who's like a friending requesting. Like I've never had someone be like, you didn't accept my friend request. I've had people who've actually sent me like a message on Facebook that said, can I send you a friend request? And I say, no, I don't do that, but here's my Facebook page where you can follow me. And it's basically better than being on my Facebook page, being Facebook friends with me, because my page gets updated and I never update my personal Facebook. But the reason I don't accept people is just because I don't want to see their info popping up in my feed. Like I am a purist. So it happens when you've been on Facebook since 2005.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was like at the end of my college reign. That was when
and that was the beginning of mine. It was the beginning of mine, freshman year. That's when Facebook was big. And I held out for as long as I could my freshman year of college. And then in the spring of 2005, I was like, damn it.
Because it was only for college students when it first came about.
When it first came out, it was just for Ivy Leagues.
Yeah, yeah.
It was just Harvard, right? And then and then it was all the Ivy Leagues. And then they slowly incorporated more colleges. Now my grandmother's on there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Like everybody's on there. So,
I mean, it is good. It's great for, long distance family and stuff like that. Absolutely. Yeah, it's great.
So, okay, we're going on 2 hours now.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like there's tons of more questions. So I'm just going to wrap up, you guys, because it's 2 hours. Don't want to waste tons of time. I got to make dinner. My husband's been home, like literally like going, I knew it was going to take 2 hours.
Mike. I love Mike. I miss the vlogs. I used to love him. Like when you were in the store and Mike's like, Alexis,
Vicky's saying that she loves you and she misses you on the vlog.
I do. I love when he was like, Alexis is in the store and he told me. I know.
Mike would go check the comments to see how many of your friends said something about me.
I did, Mike. I did.
And you guys, you know what? This is what we can do now. You guys can leave comments like once this is closed or whatever. Michael is designing. I don't know if you guys remember the video I just did, the DIY planner video with my Charm Life planner inserts. Michael's actually designing his own inserts so he can make his own spiral planner with the cinch.
I love it.
I told him once he's done, we should do a setup video. So everybody inundate me with comments that Mike should do a setup video of his dude planner.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, totally. Yes.
So he did a video on a bullet journal last year.
I saw it.
And he is always surprised how many views it got and comments and stuff. And I'm just like, Mike, they love you.
You know why? Because a dude's perspective is awesome.
And it's so rare. It's so rare that there's guys. There are guys. There's Ray Blake. There's Steve
Kent from Oz and Kent from Oz.
Yeah.
Right.
There's guys that do it.
Yep.
There's that Blaine. I can't think of his name. His name Blaine, the Filofax guy. another guy. I can't think of his name right now, but there are a bunch of guys.
Yes.
There's like a little solid group of guys.
Yeah.
So whenever we see a guy, it's interesting. Especially, we all have this secret fantasy that our husbands are going to be obsessed with planners.
Totally.
And whenever we see a husband who gets into the planners, we're like, it's literally planner porn. Like, that's what it is.
I'm such a pervert when it comes to planner porn. Absolutely. I am a disgusting pervert. Yes.
And Michael's like sitting in front of me right now, blushing. So before I make him too uncomfortable, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this episode of the Charm Biz Chat. Guys, don't forget to hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it or learned something new, got some inspiration, got some warm fuzzies, or just like seeing me chat with MissVickyBee. Make sure you guys go to her channel and subscribe to her as well and send her some comments and some love. And of course, if you want to get that study guide, there is a link down below, and I'll go ahead and add some extra links there for some common items like a tripod that I like, or the lights, like I said earlier. So thank you guys so much for coming. Vicky, would you like to say goodbye to the people?
Yes, thank you, everyone. It's so great to see everyone interacting and chatting. And Alexis, thank you so much. It's an honor to get to chat with you on your channel because you're a huge inspiration. So thanks so much for letting me come on here and chat with you because it's been great fun. And thank you guys for everything too. I hope you guys got something out of our chatting today.
Absolutely. So you guys, until next time, bye-bye.